Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mikael Shinzi Maige. I will present Article 2, Declaration of Principles and State Policies of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. I will present the Declaration of Principles from Sections 1 to 6 and State Policies Sections 7 to 14, while Mr. Raven will present State Policies Sections 15 to 28. Let's now move on to Section 1. The Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them. To have a better understanding of this section, let's define democracy and republican state. Democracy comes from the Greek word demos, which means people, and kratos means power. So democracy means a government that is run by the people. On the other hand, republic comes from the Greek word politeia, which means rights of the citizens. Um, a republican state is a government in which supreme powers resides in a body of citizens, tayong mga Pilipino na entitled to vote, and it will be exercised by elected officers and representatives na responsible sa atin and will govern according to law. So section 1 is about Philippines na a democratic and republican state in which us Filipino can choose the government, can define powers, put an end to the government, and elect a new one that will represent the will of the people and would exercise the powers only given to them. Next, Section 2. The Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land, and adheres to the policy of peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations. This only means that the Philippines will never start a war with other countries and would only do a defensive war. Second, international law, a body of laws of governing nations in dealing with one another can be applicable to Philippine law, but it is not required. So, lastly, Philippine state seeks peace with other countries. Next, Section 3. Civilian authority is at all times supreme over the military. The armed forces of the Philippines is the protector of the people and state. Its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. This means that armed forces will be commanded by Commander-in-Chief of AFP and head of civilian government, which is the president. So, my question sa provision na ito is this provision being exercised pa ba? Um, Civilian authority is at all times supreme over the military pa ba? Or military is at all times supreme over the civilian authority na? Because may take on this, hindi na nagkakaroon ng freedom yung mga mangingisda nating Pilipinong mangingisda sa sarili nating teritoryo. And yung paggamit ba ng armed forces is pinoprotektahan pa ba ang tao or na-abuse na? So anyways, next section 4. The prime duty of the government is to serve and protect the people. The government may call upon the people to defend the state, and in the fulfillment thereof, all the citizens may be required under conditions provided by law to render personal, military, or civil service. So that's why Republic Act number 9163 or National Service Training Program was enacted, but prior to this program may ROTC, which only are for men, and it will take 4 semesters to finish that military training. But in 2002, it was abolished and Congress enacted NSTP, but students cannot be compelled to undergo ROTC if we don't want, because there are other two components of NSTP. The other two is our CWTS and LTS. So, Section 5. The maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty, and property, and promotion of the general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. We all deserve it kasi we pay taxes na ibinabayad sa mga sa gobyerno na nagpapatakbo ng state. So, Section 6. The separation of church and state shall be inviolable. This means church cannot interfere with the state and state cannot interfere with the church. Now let's discuss state policies. Section 7. The state shall pursue an independent foreign policy. In its relations with other states, the paramount consideration shall be national sovereignty, territorial integrity, national interest, and the right to self-determination. This means that no other state should be permitted to dictate how the Philippines should behave in relation to other countries. So next, Section 8. The Philippines, consistent with the national interest, adopts and pursues a policy of freedom from nuclear weapons in its territory. It aims to prohibit storing, manufacturing, and using nuclear weapons, but the law does not prohibit nuclear power. However, storing nuclear power can be permitted if the public declares the need of it and the intention, kung ano nga bang intention based sa sitwasyon ng state. So next, Section 9. The state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social services, promote full employment, a rising standard of living, and an improved quality of life for all. So, also this provision is parang hindi na rin na exercise because up until now, ang dami pa ring naghihirap na mamamayan Pilipino. And is it because of kakulangan sa trabaho or sadyang mababa lang yung sahod na nakukuha at sapat lang para sa pang-araw-araw? Kasi 1987 Constitution pa, 2021 na ngayon. But still, hindi pa rin masolusyonan ang problema sa kahirapan. Ang daming mga tumatakbong politiko ang nangangako, pero ngunit kapag nananalo na, mukhang nakakalimutan na ang kanilang mga pinangako. So, next, Section 10. The state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. So, this only means that welfare of the people is the supreme law. So, Section 11. The state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. So, the state needs to respect every human person. That is why there is Safe Spaces Act or Republic Act 11313 na if your personal space is violated, you can file cases. Next, Section 12. The state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic autonomous social institution. It shall equally protect the life of the mother and the life of the unborn from conception, the natural and primary right and duty of the parents in the rearing of the youth for civic efficiency and the development of moral character shall receive the support of the government. The government cannot interfere under this provision in matters involving the family. That is why abortion is illegal here in our country because it will violate these laws. But if the life of the mother is in danger, the life of the unborn can be sacrificed. Next, Section 13. The state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism and nationalism and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. So that is why there is RA 7610 or the Anti-Child Abuse Law, which protects the mistreated child. Section 14, lastly, the state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. This is the protection of women. That is why there are laws like RA number 7877 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Law, which prohibits all forms of sexual harassment in the workplace and education environment, or Republic Act 9262, or Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, RA number 9710, or Magna Carta of Women, maternity leave benefits under RA number 11210.